Cathedral.
Welcome.
In the old
So on. Thank you.
So very good. And tomorrow morning with the consecration of the church.
Tomorrow?
No, this morning.
This morning, yes. The consecration of the church of Saint Athanasius. Thank you. You are keeping and protecting the church of Saint Athanasius. Yes.
Very good. So, Sie sehen, ich habe hier das gift from him.
Yes.
So, perhaps may I present is the letter of the Katedrائية.
Welcome to our town.
Thank you.
So, dann gucken wir mal die. Sie kennen sich? Bischof Damian? Nee, der Herr Ludwig. Vertritt den Ober.
Wunderbar. Vielen Dank für die Zeit.
Sehr gerne. Wir freuen uns, dass Sie da sind.
Perhaps may I present here the members of the chapter of the cathedral, Holdbring, Poland, Elam, they're all members of the chapter, like Ulrich, die Damen, die genau, he's the responsible director for the seminary for the formation priests, future priests. That's the press office, guys. Lady, and there are members also, another member from the chapter, cathedral, Mr. Hombach, responsible for the government of the diocese, Ms. Gerard, and there are responsible from the Department of World Church Affairs. Any relations with other churches, particularly with Bolivia. Partnership.
Yeah, Bolivia. We have competition. Lima.
That's Peru.
Sorry, in La Paz.
La Paz. Da gibt es einen koptischen Bischof.
Yes.
So we have to buy. Yeah, perhaps we have a Mr. Stinner from is in the department of the ecumenical dialogue with the collaborators Mr. Neff and Ms. Werner. They are in the ecumenical dialogue. Also preparing our big day, the feast, 1 week ago. So, jetzt haben wir die zwei, jetzt haben wir also Mr. Welke, Department of the World Church Affairs. That's my secretary. Okay, so, very welcome. Dann gehen wir mal. For a few minutes. So perhaps you have a bit of retreat.
مش حاسب انت اللي تفتح رجلك. مفيش وراك.
Your Holiness, Tavadros, dear members of the delegation, the Coptic delegation, dear brothers and sisters, it's for me a great pleasure and real honor to welcome you here in Trier, in the Cathedral of Trier, the oldest cathedral in Germany and in the north of the Alps. And may I present you a bit the history of our cathedral with also the places of veneration, special places of veneration which connect us, the Coptic Orthodox Church and also the Diocese of Trier, because we know there are some relations because of our history. I mentioned just St. Athanasius, but also St. Helena, mother of Emperor Constantine, which lived here in Trier. And afterwards we have the possibility to speak and to share a bit our experiences and to have a meeting with the delegation and the members from the chapter here in Trier. So in Trier we have the oldest roots of the church going back to the 2nd century. The first Christian community, we think it's in the second half of the 2nd century, and just in the second half of the 3rd century there was here a community with a bishop. So we have the oldest church here in Trier. The oldest part is in front of the cathedral. There were excavations and they discovered there the oldest roots and ruins of these local places of worship. Then after the edict of Milan, of Licinius and Constantine, here there was a change, the change of the situation for the Christians. And because Trier was the residence of the emperor, Constantine, he gave the possibility to build these a huge complex of 2 churches. But according to our tradition, the oldest tradition, it was not the Emperor Constantine, but his mother, Helena, to give the Bishop of Trier a part of the residential place of the Emperor, to have a place for the liturgy, for prayer, for worship. And we say, so St. Helena is a bit also the mother of faith here in Trier. And then in the 4th century, they built up a huge complex of churches. We think it was the biggest church complex in the Roman Antiquity, because I have here this picture. So I think you can imagine how it was. 2 churches, a huge complex with 4 rooms for the liturgy and perhaps also for pilgrims to come to venerate the holy robe of Christ and the relics of the Passion of Christ. We will see afterwards also the holy name located here in Trier. And exactly that was the time when St. Athanasius was here in Trier. And we can think that Athanasius saw this building in this complex and this picture. So we know also that he celebrated the Eucharist with the local bishop here, Maximin. But perhaps, Your Holiness, you know that it was not so easy with the community in Alexandria, because he celebrated Mass before the church was consecrated. Yeah. And I think it was not allowed for the bishop to concelebrate in a church being not consecrated. Yeah. But Athanasius, he did it, and I think there was some rumor in his home community. So, and afterwards, there is a long history also afterwards, also with the plunderings of the Germans after the Roman period. And you see here in the different styles of the cathedral, the Roman style, the Gothic style, Baroque, Renaissance, it is grown up through the centuries. And we think it's an imagine also of the living church, growing and growing through the periods. And all the faithful, they brought their faith, their form of expression of faith also in this cathedral. So may I invite you, we will a bit go around. Also when we will see to the relic and the shrine of the skull of St. Helen, and the chapel of St. Athanasius, sure, and also the Holy Robe chapel. There is in the top there in the mid, you see it. It's a Baroque chapel built up for the relic of the tunic of Christ, of this garment which is mentioned in the Gospel of John. But afterwards I will explain a bit. We have had an ecumenical day. It was very, very good. And Bishop Damian said perhaps Saturday 8 days ago, perhaps it was the first time after the time of Athanasius that a bishop of Egypt was preaching publicly here in the so, okay.
Welche Richtung?
Hier, und nach rechts.
أنا مش
Turn around. The score of the ancient cathedral, it was this square, I think 40 meters, 40 meters and 40 meters, Roman square, and you see, but that is of the time of the 4th century. You can see it also from the during all the history and the devastation of history, it remained since the 4th century. Shrine there with a skull, the head of St. Helen's, venerated here, and the shrine shows the score of the cathedral, this Roman square, and you see St. Helen's with the cross and the nails. They brought them according to the traditions from the Holy Land pilgrimage.
Can we see it?
Yeah. she gave the initiative to
After long declaration.
Very interesting.
It's the first time to see something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And may I will say a prayer for us.
Yeah.
Lasset uns beten. Barmherziger Gott, du hast das Kreuz deines Sohnes zum Zeichen des Heiles für alle Menschen gemacht und seinen Ruhm durch die heilige Kaiserin Helena verbreitet. Lass uns den Schutz und Segen des heiligen Kreuzes erfahren und in Ewigkeit teilhaben an der Frucht der Erlösung. Darum bitten wir durch Jesus Christus, deinen Sohn, unseren Herrn und Gott, der in der Einheit des Heiligen Geistes mit dir lebt und herrscht in alle Ewigkeit. Amen. Ehre sei dem Vater und dem Sohn und dem Heiligen Geist, im Anfang, so auch jetzt und alle Zeit und in Ewigkeit. Amen.
Exeus Ava Athanasios Diapostolicos Exeus Baba Avataradurun Biarshi Eres Exeus Nias Loforon Nemniman Artheron.
Würdig, würdig, würdig bist du, Maria. Würdig, würdig, würdig. Markus als allererster natürlich.
Yes, that's the document. The authentication of the...
فيها نزول تاني.
crypt and the chapel of the Holy Robe was nearly empty. It was not used. Oder? Wurde nicht benutzt. It was desk and so on. Das wollte ich jetzt nicht so sagen. It was empty. We were. And then my predecessor, Cardinal Marx from Munich, he had the idea to consecrate this room as a chapel for the Christians of the Oriental Rite. But you know it from the beginning. Perhaps you can tell a bit about the story of this chapel, Athanasius Chapel.
The birth of this idea came from His Holiness Pope Shenouda, as he has been asked to accompany Abbot Macarius. And he told him, I would like to have a chapel on the name of Saint Athanasius. So as Bishop Mark came, Marx is a very good friend of myself because he came from Paderborn, and our monastery is in Paderborn. So there was a committee which has been established with some expertise from the Catholic diocese. So we started to think, where could it be and how it could look like. So iconostasis, but if we would like to celebrate according to the Catholic ritus, so it must be movable. And then the committee decided that from the Romanian Orthodox Church, that the icons might be drawn there. And then they invited Pope Shenouda to come to consecrate. Bishop Marx invited our Bob, but he was very sick. He couldn't.
To consecrate the
to
altar?
Consecrate the altar.
The altar?
Yes,
Here.
to consecrate the whole church.
Oh.
Yes. And then Pope Shenouda could not come. So I said, what should I do?
This is 1990.
2007 or 2005,
just
6?
before he passed. Just very few months. So I talked to His Holiness. He couldn't. So Bishop Marx decided to do that himself, and he invited us to celebrate here. So all Orthodox communities are allowed and welcome to celebrate here according to their ritus. But as Your Holiness see, this is just underneath the Holy Rock. ممكن لو قدست تحب صلاة الشكر بس صلاة الشكر Wenn Sie uns erlauben würden, kann seine Heiligkeit ein Danksagungsgebet.
Ja, sehr gerne.
Jesus Christus. Meister, allmächtiger Gott, Vater unseres Herrn Gottes und Erlöser, Jesus Christus. Wir danken dir für jeden Zustand, wegen des Zustandes und den Zustand, da du hast uns mit Schutz geholfen, bewahrt, angenommen, erbarmt, gestärkt und zu dieser Stunde geführt.
كل بحياتنا بكل سلام مع مخافاتك كل حسد كل تجربة كل الشيطان وأمراض الناس الأشرار وخيام الأعداء الخفيين الظاهرين لأنك أنت الذي أعطيتنا السلطان أن ندوس الحياة والعقارب وكل قوة العدو.
Unser tägliches Brot gib uns heute und vergib uns unsere Schuld, wie auch wir vergeben unseren Schuldigen. Und führe uns nicht in Versuchung, sondern erlöse uns von dem Bösen. Durch Jesus Christus, unseren Herrn, denn dein ist das Reich und die Kraft und die Herrlichkeit und Ewigkeit. Amen.
Großer Gott, wir loben dich, Herr, wir preisen deinen Schöpfer, vor dir neigt die Erde sich und bewundert deine Werke, wie du warst vor aller Zeit, so bleibst du in Ewigkeit. Alles, was dich preisen kann, Cherubim und Seraphinen, stimmen dir ein Loblied an. Alle Engel, die dir dienen, rufen dir stets ohne Bruch. Heilig, heilig, heilig zu.
Wir danken dir, Herr Gott, himmlischer Vater, dass du uns deinen Sohn Jesus Christus geschenkt hast und uns berufen hast in die Gemeinschaft der Kirche. In ihr, der Gemeinschaft, die aus den Heiligen besteht, aus uns Sündern, aus denen, die den Glauben in dieser Zeit leben und die schon vollendet sind, danken wir dir und preisen dich, heute, alle Tage und in Ewigkeit. Amen. Amen.
Mönch in Katharina.
Ganz links.
He was a monk born in Sicily, Syracuse, and then he went to the Holy Land to live as hermit or as recluse, and also he leads pilgrims in the Holy Land. And then he was for a time in the monastery. I think he was looking for the right form to live as recluse or in a monastery as monk. And then he was sent from his abbot to Europe to collect some things to help the monastery. He was also in the monastery of St. Catherine in Sinai. And then he accompanied the bishop of Trier. It was about the year 1000. He accompanied him for a pilgrimage in the Holy Land. And after return from this pilgrimage, he was reclused in the gate, in a Roman gate here of Trier. It's named the Black Gate from Trier, from the Roman time. And then they formed from this gate, from this until today we have this gate because it was conserved as a church, and also in all the wars and in all these the changes of the history, it was conserved. So it's very interesting, and he was closed up in this gate as recluse Saint Simeon. Very interesting
He
person.
writes something? He writes something?
No, I do not know. No, I think it. Weiß jemand, was das bedeutet? Das Buch, das nach dem Wort Gottes lebt. Er hat ja nichts aufgeschrieben. For the Bible, by the Bible, yeah, the Bible.
Wir haben ja noch das Relief sozusagen.
Ah ja, wir haben, genau. Ja, das, sonst müssen wir das, genau. Ja, ja. Aber der war nicht in Ägypten, nee.
Doch, er war im Katharinenkloster.
Achso, das ist ja, das gehört ja mit dazu, der Sie, genau.
Katharina, war Mönch in Katharina.
For a few days.
Yes.
So we can go up too?
Yes.
Good, okay. So, Constantine Tablet.
Constantine Tablet,
Yeah. But it's okay. It's traditional. It's okay.
Traditional, yes, yes.
All right. So as donors and benefactors of the Church of Trier.
Yes, yes, yes.
Both. Okay.
تفضل.
عندي فوتو.
Okay.
أكرم.
اطلع معلش شوي اطلع معلش ساعة شوي اتفضل خلي سامي يخش جوه مش عارف يدخل بس مش عاوز يدخل لازم يدخلوه ايوه يلا انا بعت لك مايكل هيجي ياخد منك الشحن يلا مايكل ابن ابو مايكل طلع رجال على الباب حاول ادخل مش عاوزين ندخلوك ازاي So رداء.
And the oldest parts, so the venerated parts, are lying inside of it. But I have here, I have the pictures to show you the. So inside, that's the holy robe, but that's from the Middle Age. And for the first time it was in 1512 when the Emperor Maximilian came and he wanted to see the Holy Robe of Christ. Because he venerated relics, it was a pious man. But after 300 years, it was in the altar. It was so the chapter of the cathedral didn't know after the year 1200, after 300 years, to open the altar to show to the emperor. It was not so easy. So it was, but it's after 300 years. It was for the first time to show it, and so there are pilgrimages through this history, and we have the youngest pilgrimage. It was in the year 2012 to show it publicly. But normally it's acclimated as a tent of glass, sort of. And perhaps we can go to the other side, and there we have the holy nail, to venerate the holy nail, and we can pray there. Und das machen wir dann von da aus. Machen wir dann aus. And times in time we have to open it and to prove what's about the exactly. Ja. Ja, wir singen. Wir singen noch und beten noch mal. Ja, unbedingt. It's very interesting. In former times, it was the place where the holy robe, the tunic of Christ, was located. Oh. So you saw it from the cathedral. It was hanged up. So could see. But afterwards, it was not possible. And then, in the years of the 1970s, during the restoration of the cathedral, they decided to show the sky, the night sky of Trier. It's the night before the consecration of the reopened cathedral. It's the 1st of May, 1974. Yeah. So the night sky about Trier. So here we have as theological composition the sky, the creation with all these flowers, the olive branches, these precious stones, and all these treasure of the creation. So it's we have the golden cross in the form of a tree ginkgo tree. It's known, the ginkgo tree. And with this, yeah. So it's the whole composition, creation, redemption, and Christ as a redeemer and as the Lord also of the universe. Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Really, honestly, yeah, really. Yeah. Perhaps we can make it that you will give the incense. And then afterwards we will say pray, sing a song, Coptic and German, okay?
Die Schafe hat das Lamm versöhnt, geschlachtet ward das Osterlamm, das von der Welt die Sünde nahm. Halleluja, Halleluja. Lasset uns beten. Herr Jesus Christus, du hast uns dein ungenähtes Gewand zurückgelassen als Zeichen für deine Menschwerdung, als Zeichen deiner Auferstehung und als Zeichen für die Einheit deiner Christenheit. Immer wieder werden wir daran erinnert, dass wir eins sind in dir, trotz aller Spaltungen. Wir bitten dich, Hilf uns auf dem Weg, die sichtbare Einheit wiederzufinden in der Vielfalt deiner Kinder. Lass uns wachsen in der Gemeinschaft mit dir und untereinander. Lass uns den Reichtum erfahren, der uns geschenkt ist in den unterschiedlichen Traditionen.
وخلينا نتعلم من شهادات الشهداء. نرجوك ساعدنا، لا تتركنا نتعب، وادينا القدرة أن نبحث عن بعضنا ونجد بعضنا. يا رب يسوع المسيح أيها المخلص ارحمنا، اذكر الكنيسة والمسيحية وقرب الكنائس المنفصلة عن بعضها.
وجهه علينا وارحمنا. يا رب خلص شعبك وبارك ميراثك وارفعهم بإشارة الصليب المحيي بالسؤالات والطلبات التي ترفعها لنا في كل حين. وليلة الإله القديسة الطاهرة مريم، والأربعة المنيرين ميخائيل وغبريال ورفائيل وسوريال، وال24 قسيسة وأربعة حيوانات غير متجسدين، والشاروبيم والسيرافيم، وكل الطغمات السمائية، وكل الذين أرضوا رب أعمالهم الصالحة منذ آدم إلى آخر الدهور. بركة قديسي هذا اليوم، وبركة القيامة المجيدة، وبركة أمنا العذراء أولا وآخرا. بركتهم المقدسة ونعمتهم، هبتهم، معونتهم، شفاعتهم، قوتهم تكون مع جميعنا. آمين بخريستوس بالنوتي. أيها المسيح إلهنا يا ملك السلام، أعطنا سلامك، قرر لنا سلامك، واغفر لنا خطايانا واجعلنا مستحقين أن نقول بشكر.
Vater unser im Himmel, geheiligt werde dein Name, dein Reich komme, deine Wille geschehe, wie im Himmel so auf Erden. Unser tägliches Brot gib uns heute und vergib uns unsere Schuld, wie auch wir vergeben unseren Schuldigern. Und führe uns nicht in Versuchung, sondern erlöse uns von dem Bösen. Durch Jesus Christus, unseren Herrn, denn dein ist das Reich und die Kraft. Gegrüßt seist du, Maria, voller Gnade, der Herr ist mit dir. Du bist gebenedeit unter den Frauen und gebenedeit ist die Frucht deines Leibes, Jesus. Heilige Maria, Mutter Gottes, bitte für uns Sünder, jetzt und in der Stunde unseres Todes. Amen.
احنا استعرضنا مع حضراتكم خلال الدقائق اللي فاتت زيارة قداسة